standard class of social science. I welcome all the students and teachers of all certified Vidya Vahini schools. I also give thanks to Vidya Vahini for giving us this opportunity to take this class. Now our teachers, social science teachers, Swetelima Rout, Miss Swetelima Rout, will take the class on the chapter Confronting Marginalization. Thank you. Now let us start our class.
Thank you, Miss. Salam to all of you. Salam students and Salam delegates who are there. Today we are going to take a class of Standard A, Confronting Marginalization. So students, as this is the next chapter, which we have already discussed in the previous one, that is Understanding Marginalization. So today a topic that is there, that is confronting marginalization. When we are talking about confronting marginalization, first thing is that, suppose if I have to ask you and tell you some questions, like suppose there is a student in the classroom who is trying to disturb the class, who is trying to bully the children, those who are there. He is in the classroom or tries to disturb the class, the teacher, those who are there. How you are going to deal with the situation? What are the ways in which you can deal with the situation? There are various ways in which a child is going to disturb the class or tries to make the class not a good scenario. What can be the ways in which you can deal with the child? Anybody has an answer to that? Anybody can get the answer to this question? Yes. Yes, Shika?
We should understand the personal problem of the child.
Okay, you can understand the personal problem of the child. Yes, Shri?
We stop calling the child bully.
Okay, you can stop calling the child as a bully. Very good. Anushika, you can complain the class teacher. So there are various ways in which you can actually try to do such ways in which you can deal with the problems. Okay. Similarly, what is happening when we are actually doing with such situation? What is the situation that we are trying to do here? What are we doing here? When we are trying to deal with the situation, the ways that we have already discussed about, what are the things in which, what are we actually doing here? When you said that you can actually complain the teacher, or you can deal with the child by understanding the problem. What are you doing here? What are these things which we are doing? You are trying to confront it. Very good. You are trying to confront it. Or you are trying to face the problems so that you can deal with the problem and help the child to come out of the problem. Similarly, in the last class, the last chapter which we have already discussed, Understanding Marginalization, which two groups that you have actually discussed about? Okay. We have in the last class we had talked about the Adivasis and the Muslims. Okay. The Adivasis as well as the Muslim people, those who were there. Okay. Now these peoples also had the problems. They had also had some kind of problems as being the marginalized groups. How they if such problems arises, how they can deal with the issues. What are the ways in which they can deal with the issues? Yes, Sneha, say the answer.
Approach the government.
Yes, very good. It is necessary that they have to approach the government. Why it is necessary to approach the government? Any other ways in which they can do it? Approach the government. Any other ways? Yes, Maria.
Force the government to see how to recognize that how they are facing problems.
Okay.
Just to force the government to implement such laws.
Okay. Recognize the problems as well as it is also necessary to see to the laws. Very good. To see to the laws. And this is the various ways in which the problems can be actually you are going to sort out. So that is what is actually the chapter is about. That means it is necessary that some groups are there in the society. They also have to deal with some problems, some issues that they are actually facing it, and how the government is going to help them out to come out of such problems. things here. Let's come to the topic. So, we are living in what country?
Democratic country.
Very good. You are living in a
Democratic country.
So, democratic country which is there, this democratic country which is there, it is actually doing what? In this democratic country, what is exactly happening here? It treats people how? How does it treat people?
All are equal.
All are
Equal before the law.
all are equal before the law. It treats everyone equally and all are equal before the law. Very good. They are equal before the law. So, can you tell me in the constitution what is there that can help these marginalized groups? Okay, there are the fundamental rights, and these fundamental rights which are there, it is actually helping the marginalized group so that they can use this marginal right, these marginalized groups which are there, they can utilize these fundamental rights to be treated equally. It is necessary that they should be treated equally, and this fundamental rights is going to provide them such type of ways in which they can deal with the issues. Okay. Now, when we are talking about, can you tell me some of the fundamental rights which are there? I want one by one. Yes, you say that answer.
Right to equality.
Very good. The first one is the right to equality. Any other? Yes, Subram, say.
This right to freedom.
Okay. Right to freedom. Very good. Any other is there? Say.
This right to freedom of religion.
Okay. Right to freedom of religion. Very good. Any other right is there? Yes, say. Bhavna?
This right to
Right to equality is already there. Any other right? Vidya? Okay. Right against exploitation. Very good. Right against exploitation. Any other right is there?
Miss
Yes, Ananya?
cultural and educational rights.
Very good. The cultural as well as educational rights. These are also the rights. Any other right is there? Kalpana?
Right to constitutional remedy.
Okay. Right to constitutional remedies. So, there are actually, how many fundamental rights are there? Six fundamental rights. Very good. There are 6 fundamental rights which has been made for everyone. It is equally given and equally shared by everyone. And from these fundamental rights, some rights are specially made from some marginalized groups as well as some weaker sections of the society. When we are talking about the fundamental rights here, how these fundamental rights can be used by the marginalized groups. So mainly, this can be used in 2 ways. The marginalized groups can use this fundamental rights in 2 ways. 2 instances are there. The first instance when I am talking about, first is through this what they are trying to force the government. Government is already there, laws are already there, problems are already there. The government also is necessary to know that what problems they are facing. So the fundamental rights, actually through this what is happening, they are forcing the government to let the government recognize what? Recognize their struggle. They are having some struggle in this country. We are talking that we are living in a democratic country. We are having equality is being maintained. Everybody are treated equally. But what is happening? Some groups still are facing problems in the society. So these problems has to be actually sorted out. So these problems should be known to the government itself. So people are pressurizing, are trying to forcing the government to see that we are also facing problems. And this also which helps the people to pressurize. It is pressurizing the government to implement the laws. Already the laws are there. Many laws are there in this country which has been made, but some laws are not implemented. Like for example, if I say food, you are hungry. When you are hungry, you have to say about that you are hungry. Nobody can understand how much we are actually hungry or not. Food will be provided to us, we have to actually eat that food. So everything has to be done in action wise. Everything has to be implemented properly. Similarly, laws which are there is there, but laws also needed to be implemented. And how those laws can be implemented? It can be implemented in that way if people actually have some problems related to it. Even sometimes what is happening, something is happening, people are not, government is not aware about those things. So those who are having problem, they should come with the problem, they should speak about the problem, they should pressurize the government so that these problems can be sorted out easily. So that is how the marginalized groups can actually use these fundamental rights in the better way. So why these fundamental rights has been made by the government? Why these fundamental rights? Why these laws has been made by the government? So we have seen, if you remember, can be some instances in the past how these people were treated in the past? They were treated, yes, Rishi? They were treated as what? How they were treated badly? If you are telling about they were treated badly, how they were treated badly? Yes, Shikha?
They were not allowed to enter the worship places like the temples.
Okay, very good.
Some were not allowed to drink water from the wells.
Okay. Any instances, say examples which are there in your past you must have read about? Maria?
Dr. B.R.
Okay, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. How did he face that problem? Can
As he was Dalit, he was discriminated.
he was discriminated. Any other examples which are there?
They were not allowed to school for study.
Any such instances which is related to school? Can you name that person? Very good. Om Prakash Valmiki. If you remember, because he came from the lower caste. He came from the caste which are known as untouchables in the past time. So he also had to face such problems. As a result of which, when the constitution was made, the constitution makers, they decided. So when we are talking about here, we are talking about the word that is your untouchability. Now untouchability means the groups which were there, which were considered as untouchables, or in the language of Mahatma Gandhi, they are also known as your Harijans. Okay, these people, they were not allowed to enter public places. The public places, which is an accessible part for everyone which are there. It was not access for some groups, those were considered as untouchables. Okay, not only that, they were not allowed to drink water from the well which was used by everyone those who were there. They was not allowed to drink water. So there was, we can say there was a differentiation in the community. One groups were allowed, other groups were not allowed. So this was what was happening in the past. As a result of which, these untouchables in the later on they were termed as your Dalits, which is also known as your broken classes, which you have already read in your other classes. Also you have read about that broken class in your 6th class. You have already read about it. So these people, those who were there, they were having problems. As a result of which, the government, when the constitution makers, they were making the constitution itself, that point of time, they made some fundamental rights. Under that, for them, especially for them, the first fundamental right which we talk about, that is right to equality. In that, 2 articles were made up. The first article, that is your Article 15. When we talk about Article 15, there should be no discrimination. Discrimination of what? Discrimination on the basis of your caste, religion, as well as any other ways which we know it. 2, as well as they can also access. They can access the public places. All the public places which are there, which can be accessible for the higher caste societies, which are so-called higher caste societies, can also be accessible to people, those who are coming from the low caste societies also. So it will be equal treatment for everyone. So now they are not considered as untouchables, they are not considered as groups, but they are considered as one of the group of the society. Those also has an accessible to other things in the society. Okay. Not only that, also another one article is there, that is your Article 17, which means there is a ban on untouchability. So untouchability right now cannot prevail in the society because it is going to be banned by it has been banned by the government under the Article 17. So nobody will be treated as untouchable, everybody are equal, and if anybody hittingly anywhere it is found, they are being treated as untouchable. It will be a punishable law. By law it is punishable. They will be treated as if it is given to everyone. Nobody is untouchable now. They are treated equally as other people are being treated. Similarly, when we are talking about here, we are talking about the fundamental rights. So what is happening here? Here, these marginalized groups which are there, what they are doing, they are trying to invoke the fundamental rights. They are trying to invoke the fundamental rights, and this way, why they are necessary to invoke the fundamental rights, what they are doing, first of all, through this they are using, when we are saying here, for invoking the fundamental rights, they are using the laws. And why these laws are there? To protect them. And from whom they are protected, children? From majorities. From the majority groups, the dominated groups which are there in the society, as well as from the government also. Not only that, through this also, they are able to make the government recognize what? Recognize the struggle, as well as they are going to provide, and also the government is going to provide them what? Provide them the justice. So this is the way why invoking a fundamental right is very, very important. Now, when we are talking about here, other than the marginalized groups, are there any other groups we have read in the past classes also? Adivasis and Dalits you have already said. In the last class we have also, in the previous chapter we have also read about a particular group. Who were they? Muslims. Okay. So, there is also a category which is known as your minorities. Okay. There are minorities, and among them many minority groups are there. One is your Muslims. Others are also, there are other religious groups which are also there. Parsis. Many people which are, other than in your country, the majority groups which are there, majority religious groups which are there, are from them. Others are known as your minorities. For them also, fundamental rights has been made. As I have already said, that right to equality is made for the Adivasis as well as the people, those who are coming from the Dalit groups. Similarly, the religious minorities also have some kind of fundamental rights. Now, can you tell me which fundamental right they can use in order to utilize? Yes? Say, Shahid.
Fundamental to equality.
The?
Fundamental to equality.
Fundamental to equality, okay. Vaishnavi? Yes, Vaishnavi?
Right to equality.
Right to equality. Any other? Ananya?
Right to freedom.
Right to freedom, okay. Sneha?
Right to freedom of religion.
Very good. Shikha?
Cultural and educational rights.
Okay, the cultural and educational rights. Very good. So there are instances, and there, as we have seen, the problems are there. So when we talk about the rights, fundamental rights, here we are talking about two fundamental rights which these people can use. One is your right to freedom of religion. The second one is your right, your cultural as well as your educational rights. The educational right which is there. They can use these rights which are there, and through this what is happening? This is actually providing what? It is providing the protection to their culture as well as to their religion. They have been given the right to become the caretaker of their religion, as well as it is also possible for them to protect their religion, as well as it provides them such type of ways in which they can become the caretaker of the religion. And through this, what is happening? They are able to provide, they are getting what? They are getting the security. Safely they can live in this country. So, what is happening? The fundamental right is the best way in which the people, those who are coming from the weaker sections, or the people, those who are coming from the minority sections, they can get some kind of equality, because democracy's base is always equality, dignity, respect. So this is only possible when they are able to get some kind of rights. Okay. Now, as we are talking about these laws, we are talking about fundamental rights. What is actually made for them? How these people are getting such fundamental rights? How these laws are being implemented? What are the ways in which it can be implemented? What government has made for them? What are the various ways in which they can implement such things? What are the ways?
Government-based communities.
The government has, say again Maya, what you want to say?
The government-based communities
Okay.
and a survey.
Okay. Any other things? This government has made committees and they have surveys. Why these surveys and committees are made? To make what?
To protect.
Okay, to protect and help. Any other?
To recommend these laws and policies.
Okay, the policies and any kind of laws which are there. Now the word policies came up. Can you tell me what does this word policy actually means? What is a policy actually? What is policy actually? Why policy is necessary? You must have heard this word in your day-to-day life. Why policy? What is policy actually? It is a type of? Yes, policy is what? See? Law. Okay, this law is in what way? Law is made like that. Policy is made on what? These policies are made on what? On what basis? What are the things that is happening? These marginalized groups, they are happening or facing. What are the problems, the issues? Okay. So when we talk about policy, policy is nothing but a plan. Okay. This is a plan. Who makes this plan? This is made by the government. Why this plan has been made? To deal with what? To deal with the issues. Issues? Which issues? Present issues? Past issues? Or we are talking about something which can happen? Three parts. In the past people have faced the problems. In present also they are having the problem. In the future also they might face the same problem. So issues are mainly deals with issues which is under the consideration. Okay, it is under the consideration and this can be used when? It can be used in the future. Mainly it is, this policy is made to achieve some kind of goal. Achieve some kind of goal. Some goal. For example, your goal is what? As a student, what is your goal, children? You want, why you are studying? What is the necessity of studying? To get what?
Job.
Okay, you make your future bright. For that you are doing what?
Studying.
So studying is this, studying is actually done in what way, children? How you are studying? How you are studying? Actually, how you are studying, children? How you are studying? In your houses, how you are studying actually? Tell me. How do you study? How do you actually start your studies and all? Right now in 8th class, 9th class, 10th class, what do you do for your studies? Plan. You have to make a plan. Okay. So all these plannings are very, very necessary. So plan is one of the most important parts. Similarly, why plan? Because you have to achieve your goal, that is to have a better future in a better, bright future. So it is necessary. So policies are not necessary. So governments are also making some kind of policies and programs. Okay. These policies and programs are made for what? For whom it is being made? Who are the people those who are getting that policies and programs are made for? The minorities. Very good. These policies and programs are made for the minorities. These minorities which are there, what they are going to get through these policies and programs? Justice. Very good. So this they are getting justice. So what is justice actually? What is justice? What is justice? Right, or some kind of security. Very good. Some kind of right which is there. So these justice are nothing but the right and the security. And when you are getting justice, when you are having policies, these policies are equally made or it is unequally made? Equally. It is a policy which is actually equally made. Now these equal policies is going to promote what? This is for who are getting these rights and all? All the citizens. The citizens are living where?
In India.
In India. India is a part of what? This democratic country is also known as what? You are living in a society. We are all social beings. So when we are talking about equality, here we are talking about social justice. Okay. So we are talking about social justice. And social justice is actually based on what? It's based on equality, based on fairness, based at every sphere. Educational areas, working areas, wherever we are. It is found in every area. So in every area it has to be taken into consideration. So policies and schemes has been made for whom? Mostly for the people, those who are considered as your marginalized groups. And one such marginalized groups which I have already said, that is your tribal people. Now these tribal people, the most important thing for their upliftment is your education. Education is very, very important for them. And for that, both at the central government as well as the state government area, some schemes has been made, and such schemes which are there, it is free as well as subsidized. That means at a very low cost, they are going to avail what? They are going to avail the education. Not only that, also to stay in hostels. That means some schools has been made in such a way that these schools are both hostels and schools for the tribal children, where they can stay, they can get the food, they can get the education, and also they can develop. So mostly government has made these schemes for whom? For the tribal people. Other than this, there is also another thing that has come up, which is known as your reservation policy. Okay, this particular word you might have heard every time. Might have heard your elder sisters, elder brothers are there. They might have talked about those things. Though these reservation policies, when we are talking about, these reservation policies are made for what? It is made for in the areas like your jobs as well as in the area that is your education. Okay. Now, these areas, when we are talking job and education, what is happening? Some seats are actually reserved. Okay. Some seats are reserved for whom? They are reserved for the marginalized groups. But this reservation policy has some criteria. There are some ways. There are some criteria where how this reservation policy has to be working into has to work out. That means when we are talking about here how this reservation policy works, first of all you need to have a certificate. Which certificate I am talking about?
Caste certificate.
Next 2 minutes.
Certificate. So these are the certificates what we are talking about. Okay. Now this certificate, it can be used in what? In the educational areas as well as in the job areas. But they have to have what? A cut-off mark. The children, those who are going to avail it, they are going to have some cut-off mark for that. The children, those who are going to avail, they have to get the marks above this cut-off mark. Then only they can avail these type of certificates. So mostly when we talk about reservation policies and schemes, these are made for what? For the upliftment of the marginalized groups. So when we are, as today's topic, we are talking about confronting marginalization, we are going to talk about promoting equality as well as invoking fundamental rights. Now as for today, this is what we are going to talk about. Next class we will continue with the next chapter. Now, children, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Okay, one by one I want the question. Yes, Subhranshu.
What are the laws for the marginalized?
Yes, louder.
What are the laws for the marginalized?
Okay. What are the laws for the marginalized groups? Okay. If I have already said, before I say, can anybody answer this question? Any laws are there for the marginalized groups? Anybody can answer before I answer? Yes, Maria, first you.
Right to equality.
Okay.
Right to cultural and educational rights.
Okay.
Right to freedom of religion.
Okay. Shikha, any your
Is Article 15 and Article 17 provided by the
So
Constitution.
where this Article 15 and 17 is there?
Right to freedom of religion.
No. Any other? Where it is there? Yes, Maria.
Article 17 is to abolish untouchability.
It is where? In which fundamental right? Can you say which fundamental right is there? Okay. Okay, let me see there. Very good. As you have said, as your question is, we have some fundamental rights, that is your right to equality. Under this right to equality, what is happening? We are having Article 17 and Article 15, which is mainly based for this marginalized group. They can avail it from untouchability as well as to access to public places without discrimination. Second, as she has already said, that right to religion, right to freedom of religion, whether some religious groups, some minority religious groups are there, they can protect their religion as well as cultural and educational rights which are also there. Any other question? Yes, next question. Yes, Ananya, what is the next question?
Why Dalit means broken.
Why Dalit means broken class. Very good. Dalits, These people, what I said, they facing what in the past? What they were facing? They were facing what? Discrimination. So discrimination. They were discriminated. They were not getting some kind of access. They were already depressed classes. They had such type of problems in the past. So that's the reason these Dalit groups are known as a broken class, discriminated class. The class which are discriminated twice in the society. That's the reason they are known as your Dalits or the broken classes. Any other question? Yes, Shashi?
Why marginalized groups are called Dalits?
Why marginalized groups are called Dalits? It is exactly the same because they are what? These Dalits were discriminated. So that they are marginalized. They are discriminated, and in the previous chapter also we have read marginalization means what? To make a person, a group at the side. They were not made to stay with the mainstream. So that's the reason they were known as your marginalized. Okay, any other question? Yes, Shikha?
Why a set of cutoff mark is important in the educational institutions?
Because, yes, very good. This is a very common question which we also when we were studying and we were having, that we have a problem that reservation policies, and we complain why reservation policies are there. But reservation policy does not mean that everybody will get their reserved seats. Some criteria has been made so that other people will also not. There are some good students also getting marks, but sometimes they may be affected. If reservation policy would have been given to everyone, how much mark they get or how much mark they don't get, then it would have been very bad for other people also in the society, those who have better avenues or better abilities. So in order to protect them, some cutoff mark has been made so that through this cutoff mark, only those students, those who have to get off to it or get out of those problems and all, they can get it. So cutoff mark is very, very important. It cannot be given to each and every students which are there. Okay? Any other Vidya? What is social justice? When I said justice, justice means what? When justice is happening, what is happening here? You are getting a right. You are treated equally. So in the society, everybody are necessary to be treated equally. So when everybody are treated equally, what will happen? What will happen to the country? The country will be a democratic. It is a democratic country. So you need to, do you like to live in a situation where there is chaotic situation or very unpeaceful situation, or you want to live in a very peaceful situation? When everybody are given equal treatment, everybody are given equal status, everybody in the society are treated equally, will that country will be a good country to live or not? Yes, exactly. That is what social justice is about. It treated everyone fairly, equally at every sectors which are there, they are being treated equally, as well as it is giving them every opportunities to live without any fear. It is a security which they are getting because of the social justice. Any other question which is there? Anyone else? Those who want to probe the question? Yes, Anushka?
How does the reservation policy work?
How does the reservation policy work? The same question. Cutoff, as I said, there are some cutoff mark is already provided. First of all, the groups, those who are marginalized, they will get a certificate. This certificate, when we are talking about caste certificate, so at the government and the central government, the state government and the central government which are there, they are having a list who are belonging to which caste. Okay? So, what is happening here? First of all, they are getting this certificate to get what? To get job reservation or to get educational seats reservation which are there. After that, the government institutions which are there or any kind of job sectors, they have set down a cutoff mark. So these people has to avail, they have to get that cutoff mark and then they can avail or get the reservation or the seats which are reserved for them. Any other question which is there? Yes, Maria?
What is the reason how reservation policies are, it is important to provide justice?
How reservation policy is important to provide justice? Yes. When we are talking about reservation policy, always we say that some caste people are not getting, other caste people are getting. But what is happening? Why we have provided this reservation for the people, those who are marginalized group? Because in the past, they were treated equally by the other societies. Were they treated equally in the past? No. Were they uplifted in the past?
No.
So for their upliftment, for their development, it was necessary. When the constitution makers made, they have already thought about how to treat them. So many laws has been made for them. So this reservation policies is giving them some kind of opportunities to come up with the people, those who are coming from the oppressed classes and have an equal platform with them, develop them and become a better person in the society. So that in future, they will not have a problem. So that is why reservation policies are necessary, and it also treats everyone in a social way, or social justice is being maintained from that. Any other question is there? Boys, any question are there? Yes, Mahir, say.
Miss, how can you promote the social justice?
How can you promote the social justice? Social justice can be promoted by policies and schemes which are there. Right now I have already said about two schemes which is there. One is the scheme for which groups who are not getting proper educations. Adivasis. Some tribal schools which are there, some schools which we say ashram, which are ashrasthal. There are various names for that. So these schools has been made for the tribal children where they will get education, fooding, everything which problems can be sorted out. Second thing is that reservation policy is also another scheme. If you remember in 7th class you have read about midday meal. It is also a scheme where equal treatment has been made for the students. Where people, children from the higher class, lower class, everybody sit equally and have the food. So various schemes has been made in the society where you can promote social justice. There are various ways how this has been made up. Any other question is actually there, children? Yes. What is policy? Yes, okay. What is policy? Anybody can say, I have already said what is policy? A plan. A plan which is needed for what? To achieve a goal in the, you have set a goal. That goal has to be achieved. So this planning is necessary. A policy is necessary in which you can achieve it easily. When you make anything proper planning, then what is happening? Many problems can be solved out easily. Instead of coming with instant any kind of instant way solution, it is better to plan something. When planning is made, so what will happen? Everybody will get equal opportunities. It will be a planning, a policy is necessary for everyone, equal treatment. So this is a plan which is made for equal treatment with some issues that deals with some issues. It mainly deals with some issues which were in the past, in the present also. So these issues cannot linger in the future. Some policies are made so that everybody are treated equally. Am I clear to all of you?
Yes.
Any other question is there? Yes, Afia?
This one, marginalized communities are dependent on the constitution.
Why marginalized communities are dependent on the constitution? As I've already said, so when we say about marginalized groups, those are there. We are living in a democratic country, okay? This democracy, when we say most important is the constitution. Yes or no? So this constitution which is there, it has made a principle which states in our country is actually socially and politically democratic. And democracy means it is a people's country. Every people are important. Every people's equal treatment is also needed. So, when we are talking about these things, these marginalized groups, they will actually take the help from what? They also need equal treatment or not? So, who is going to help them? It is the constitution. Constitution becomes a type of protection, like an umbrella which protects you in a rain. Similarly, constitution is also going to be the protector of you so that you can actually have a protection. So marginalized group definitely are going to use the constitution for equal treatment. Any other question? Yes?
Why is social justice important?
Why? The same thing. Can anybody answer this question? I have already answered this question. Why social justice is important? How social justice will help the society, the country? Who can say? What will happen if the country is having social justice? Yes? Say. Yes, very good. It is going to promote equality. Anything else? Okay, let's we talk about some past time when partition. We have already had a partition. What was the reason for partition? Can anybody say me? Wow, what was the reason for India's partition? Who can say? Yes, Kalpana? What was that? Religion. Which religious group was affected? At point of time, one religious group was affected or not? So, to maintain country's unity, determines country's unity. If the country is peaceful, country will be united. We all want to live unitedly, yes or no? So, that is a reason it is necessary that we need to have a united country, and that's the reason we have to promote social justice. Am I clear to all of you?
Yes.
That's all for today. We will again resume back in the next class. So, have a good day and study the chapter as it is done. Okay? Sayonara and thank you.